All right, joining me now is Brock McGillis, who made history in 2016, becoming the first openly gay men's pro hockey player. Now he's on the Shift Makers Tour, speaking to youth hockey players around Canada and now in the United States. So Brock, welcome to Seattle. You're here. It's the first stop in the U.S. ever for your Shift Makers Tour after going all across Canada. Could you give us some insight sort of into your mission with the tour and how this whole journey began for you?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me here, and thanks for having me in Seattle. I love it. There's so much snow.
Yeah.
I can't get over all the snow.
It's a true, spoken like a true Canadian.
Yeah, it's the snobby Canadian coming out of me. It's like we can judge you on your lack of snow and thinking there's snow.
That's fair.
But yeah, Shift Makers, what it is, it's rallying people to create shifts. And big or small, those shifts have a ripple effect, and we can create locker rooms that are better for everyone, and we can improve our language and stop bullying each other, laughing at things that we don't find funny that we laugh at because we're afraid we need to fit in. It's about breaking the conformity so people can be themselves, regardless if it's a straight white kid, a gay kid, a person of color, a woman in a men's space, or girls in space. Like it's for everybody, and we've had so much success doing it, and it's been so powerful. But what it really comes down to is having the courage to stand up, having the courage not to laugh, and being these brave athletes that we say we are in our sport.
Yeah, and I mean, it's one thing to speak to schools and youth near your home or do all of this virtually with all the tools that are available now, but it's another to go on tour across all of Canada, speak to 100 minor league teams in 100 days, multiple times, you mentioned, right? And now you're in another country here in the U.S. What keeps you motivated to go out of your way to spread your message, and why is it important to expand to the States?
So, yeah, I think I'm a bit of a masochist. I don't sleep, and I just travel. Year one in Canada, I went to 7 NHL cities in their vicinity. Year two, I just finished. We went to 140 teams in 80-something days.
Wow.
And it was 27 cities coast to coast in Canada. And now we're starting in the U.S. I think it matters in person because when we're talking about this stuff, having that real connection in person matters, and being able to engage with players and allowing them to be vulnerable and share and seeing the impact it's had. You know, like I challenge players to share something they wouldn't typically tell a teammate about themselves. And we used to get these surface level things, but since I've started challenging their courage and to be brave, they're sharing. I had a player stand up and say, I have a stutter and I'm afraid to speak in public because you guys make fun of me.
Wow.
Another player say, I want to quit hockey. He's an elite player. I want to quit hockey because you guys tease me so much, I feel like I have no friends here. But if they're treating each other like that, we're not fostering spaces for anyone to feel good.
Right.
You know, and even here, I had kids say, I love writing short stories, but I don't tell my teammates that they're going to call me gay. And it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Why can't we just be ourselves and do what we like and also love hockey or sport, you know what I mean? And having those conversations, see the impact they're having, the kids that are coming to me who are struggling, whether, you know, and it transcends, yeah, I'm gay, but it transcends LGBTQ+, whether it's a girl, like a person's come to me who is a victim of sexual assault or you know, kids who are struggling with their mental health, and being able to help them find resources and support in their area is so powerful. And work with their teams and their coaches to then, you know, foster environments for them where they can exist and feel good. And I feel like in person so much better, and getting, you know, boots on the ground to work with these people just matters.
Yeah, and it feels like it's not even just homophobic language that you're focusing on, but just, you know, fostering a non-toxic environment. These people are supposed to be your teammates, right? You're like your biggest supporters.
It's funny, you know, in sports, in hockey, we call ourselves a family, or brothers,
right,
or sisters, some analogy like that. I'm like you're laughing at things you don't find funny because you're afraid your family's going to bully you. You're staying quiet when somebody does something really problematic, you know, because you're afraid that you're going to be the next person targeted by your brothers. You don't talk about anything but girls, video games, partying, sports, music, as long as it's rap or country, because you're afraid you're going to get made fun of and teased and harassed by your family? We're a family and we're doing that? Mm-hmm. That's not family. That's not an environment where everyone feels good coming to play the sport. So let's change it.
Yeah,
let's
absolutely
make it for everyone.
And so when you talk to these youth hockey teams, I'd imagine your message is received in a different way, being that you've been in their shoes before as a former player. How has your playing career helped the work that you're doing, and how has it helped you connect with players in a more impactful way?
Yeah, I sort of bro it up. I'm hockey bro in the room. And I can conform to that culture. I can dress like them, talk like them, walk like them, and I've done it. But my career, I think because I'm vulnerable with my life, it allows them and it eases a bit of tension. I think they think gay guys coming into the room, we're going to get this lecture about homophobia. Nah, like, yeah, sure, we're going to talk about that a little bit, but I want you laughing in the first 5 minutes. If I haven't made you laugh, I've failed. Because I need everyone to just chill out. Let's just have a good time. Let's talk. You know, and there's no judgment. I don't care what you've said before. I don't care where you've been. Let's start where you're at today. But sharing my story and the struggles I had and not feeling like I could exist and play the sport I love, like because I was gay. Like, think about it. You love sports?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And now, do you have a girlfriend or a wife?
I do, yeah.
Girlfriend?
Girlfriend, yeah.
Okay. Now imagine you felt like you couldn't play a sport that you love to play because you were dating her.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
It's ridiculous.
It's absurd. So, but when I'm sharing this and I share how I was, you know, struggling, self-harm, didn't want to exist and all these things and the struggles I went through and the impact it had on my career where I was supposed to have this linear trajectory to the NHL and, you know, I was depressed, drinking and had season-ending injuries and before I knew it I was playing the minors in Europe. It's like now they get a little bit of empathy. And other people in the room have dealt with mental health or bullying or racism or anything else are like, oh, I kind of relate to that a little bit. So there's a relatability while it's still fun and they're learning without recognizing they're learning because we're having a good time.
Right.
And then it then transcends and shifts into the conversation where they become the shift maker.
On this tour, I mean, you've talked to several hundred, you know, however many athletes. What are some of the more memorable conversations that you've had so far, some of the breakthroughs?
There was a point in early December where I said for the first time, you need to, I challenged their courage to be brave. And I said, you know, we're gladiators on ice. We fight in the corner. We battle in front of the net. We block shots. We hit people. We're tough hockey players. And then I said, but it's not brave to laugh. You know, I had an incident last year where a player experienced anti-Semitism and he came to me, he's 13 playing with 14-year-olds and he goes, you inspired me to tell my teammates how it made me feel. And I actually went back in and worked with him before he did and went back in with him when he spoke to his teammates and he got to humanize the impact, which is what I do, I'm a humanizer. And then I got to reiterate language, especially silence, because 3 players did what happened in the room, but 7 stood around and watched. And I'm like, is that brave? To sit there, like you're going to be labeled anti-Semitic or, you know, a white supremacist or whatever else, just like those 3 players. But you sit there quietly because you're afraid you're going to be targeted next. It's not the courage we talk about. And since I started doing that, it shifted. And I went into groups in Manitoba. And this is like small town, 40,000 people in northern Canada. And these players start sharing stories that are so tremendously impactful. Like kids are going from their team and saying like, I self-harmed and I'm really struggling. A player shared a story about the tragic loss of his brother and he's never actually talked to his teammates about it and they were friends with the guy too. And there's been, ever since I challenged their courage, it's almost socially re-engineered the way they view toughness. And now it's tough to share. And they're being vulnerable with each other. And then there was a stop in Ottawa where one player was sharing something where he's being bullied about his dad. And then another player stood up and goes, I'm the one who's doing it the most. And I'm sorry. And not only that, he goes, I'm doing it because I'm going through something similar at home.
Wow.
And it's just the power in these rooms. My road manager in Canada, we joke, and coaches have said this to us, where it's almost like an episode of Ted Lasso. But now there's a little bit of euphoria sprinkled in. But my road manager is this professional baseball player, and he's this tough, macho, straight dude, and he's sitting in the corner sobbing with every session, and these kids are almost in tears, but then they're hugging each other and supporting each other on a deeper level, and it's vulnerable, and it's real, and it's powerful, and it's revolutionized all the work I've done, and it's been 8 years to get here. I almost feel like a comedian on the road sometimes, where you're working out a set before you do your special, and I finally got to the point that I'm at the special.
That's amazing. And in your experience, how has the hockey culture evolved in terms of LGBTQ plus inclusion since you first started speaking out?
I will say this. Women's hockey is leaps and bounds, and women's sports are in general. On the men's side, we still haven't, I think our language and behaviors in hockey haven't fostered environments where people can come out. If you look at stats alone, 25% of Gen Z is identifying as LGBTQ+, and there's currently one out professional hockey player in North America and one in Europe. Like, that's disproportionate on the men's side of the sport, of course. So it's disproportionate. So there's a reason for that, and it's the language and behaviors. But I will say this, out of all the sports, I would say hockey players, if a player did come out, would be the most supportive. Which is weird because I think they use the worst language, and the culture needs arguably the biggest overhaul, but they'd be the most supportive of a teammate.
Wow, interesting. And I mean, just on this tour, how do you measure success, not only on the tour, but also overall with the work that you're doing? I feel like there's not some quantitative sheet where you're like, I made this much difference, but how do you sort of measure it?
When a coach comes to you and goes, you saved somebody's life today, or I get hundreds of DMs from players from across the tour. We actually do surveys, anonymous surveys with the players where they get to share how they felt and everything else. And so we do collect data, and over 90% of players 2 years in a row are saying, this made me want to change the way I talk. I want to create better places. I want everyone to feel good. I want to feel better in there. And so that type of stuff kind of, says, okay, we're on the right path. But those messages from kids where they're like, hey, you changed our locker room today. Hey, you saved somebody's life. I was in Saskatchewan and I was working with a team, and then the team went to the coach after, and the captain texts him and goes, hey, can we rent another room and share more? These are boys, like teenage bros, saying, can we share more? That's pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
That's success to me. I don't care if it's, not as qualitative and there's no study done on it. That's success.
It's impact. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So finally, I guess, who are you able to talk to here in Seattle, and how can people get involved with the work that you're doing?
Yeah. So here in Seattle, I've been working with the Kraken. The Kraken brought me in. They've been wonderful. You are very lucky to have that organization here. They're pretty cool. So I've been working with their staff and the junior Kraken teams. And for year one, I was like, okay, let's go to that group. And then year two, I'd love to expand to the other youth hockey around here, and then if there's any junior and the college teams and whatnot, and then expand through the state. And when we come back for year two, which we're going to be doing. And if people want to get involved, they can. My social media is Brock McGillis 33, or my website is brockmcgillis.com, and you can see the tour and follow it at brockmcgillis.com/tour.
Awesome. Brock, impactful stuff. We'll look forward to welcoming you back next year on the tour. It'll be exciting. Thanks for stopping by, and good luck the rest of the tour.
Can't wait to come back. I love Seattle. It's the most Canadian American city I've ever been to in my life. I think it's more Canadian than Canada. Like, I'm not even kidding.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
Wow.
It's a cool city. I love it here.
Yeah, well, we look forward to welcoming you back next year.